you are. We got to get this taken care of.
Pay attention.
If you're going to be disrespectful, we're going to have an issue. Now, we're going to see some ID, or we're going to have to drag you downtown. What's the problem?
I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
Get on the ground, now! A man's face is slammed against a police car as a crowd gasps around him. In the middle of downtown Ohio, two officers pin down a sharply dressed young man, accusing him of being a robbery suspect, but nothing about him matches the panic they expect. They don't listen. They don't check. One officer twists his arm harder while the other starts filming, announcing the arrest like a victory, while people nearby whisper that they've got the wrong guy. The man doesn't fight back. He doesn't beg. He just looks straight at them and says, calm and steady. You're making a mistake you won't be able to fix. Then suddenly, one of the officers hesitates. Just for a second, like something about this doesn't add up. But before he can speak, the other officer shoves the man into the back of the car. And that's when the man quietly says, you really should have checked first. Before we go anywhere further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. The car door slams shut, cutting off the noise of the crowd, but inside, the tension only gets tighter. Daniel Mbai sits upright in the back seat, wrists pinned, breathing steady like none of this is new to him. Officer Coffee in the front seat exhales hard, almost satisfied, while Officer Biko keeps glancing back, his grip on the wheel just a little too tight. Finally got one, Coffee mutters, adjusting his vest. Matches the description enough. Daniel tilts his head slightly, his voice calm, controlled. Enough isn't the same as right. Coffee doesn't respond. He just smirks, tapping the dash like he's already closed the case. Outside, downtown fades as the car pulls away, people still watching, some recording, some shaking their heads. A woman in the crowd had shouted, "That's not him!" But it didn't slow anything down. It never does. Inside the car, Daniel's eyes move, not frantic, not scared, observing the badge numbers, the cracked radio, the street signs passing by. Biko notices it. "Why are you so calm?" he blurts out, unable to hold it in. Daniel meets his eyes through the mirror. "'Cause you're about to realize something." Coffee scoffs. "Yeah? What's that?" Daniel leans back slightly, as much as the tight space allows, his voice dropping just enough to shift the air inside the car. "That you didn't just grab the wrong person, you ignored every chance to know that." Silence settles in, heavy. For a brief second, Biko's expression flickers, doubt creeping in. But Coffee shakes it off, harder this time. "Save it for the station." The car turns sharply into the precinct lot. Doors open. Hands grab Daniel again, rougher than before, like they need to prove something now. As they drag him toward the entrance, Daniel doesn't resist. He just looks straight ahead at the station doors like he's been here before. And under his breath, just loud enough for Coffee to hear, he says, "You still have time to fix this, if you're smart." Coffee tightens his grip, but he doesn't slow down. Inside the police station, the air shifts the moment Daniel is dragged through the doors. The fluorescent lights of the precinct hum overhead as Daniel Mbaye is pushed past a row of desks, his wrists still restrained, his shirt slightly torn from the earlier struggle downtown in Yaoundé. Officer Coffee walks ahead with purpose, like he's already won something. Officer Biko follows a step behind, but his eyes don't leave Daniel anymore. Something about him doesn't fit. At the booking desk, a clerk barely looks up. "What's the charge?" he asks casually. "Suspicious behavior. Matching robbery suspect description," Coffee replies quickly. Daniel exhales slowly. "You didn't even confirm identity." Coffee snaps back immediately. "We don't need to confirm what's obvious." That sentence lands heavier than it should. A nearby officer pauses mid-writing. Another glances up. Small reactions, but enough to show doubt is starting to spread. Daniel notices everything. Not panicking, not pleading, just watching how quickly confidence replaces procedure in this room. Biko leans in slightly, lowering his voice. "We should at least run his details first." Coffee hears it and turns sharply. "Since when do you question arrests in the field?" The room goes quiet. Daniel is led toward a holding chair, but as they push him down, he speaks again, calm, precise. "You're not just making a mistake. You're choosing not to correct it. That hits differently. Biko hesitates. For the first time, he doesn't respond immediately. Coffee notices that hesitation and doubles down, stepping closer to Daniel. Listen carefully, Coffee says, voice low now. We've been chasing this case for weeks. You fit. That's enough. Daniel looks up at him, steady. If that's all it takes, then anyone in this room is next. A flicker of discomfort spreads across a few faces nearby. Then suddenly an officer at the back calls out, Coffee, you might want to see this. Coffee turns slowly, and Daniel just closes his eyes for half a second like he already knows what's coming next. Coffee doesn't move at first. He just stares at the officer who called him over like he's been interrupted in the middle of something important. The station's energy shifts instantly. Chairs creak, voices drop, phones stop clicking. Officer Biko stands slightly behind Coffee now, uneasy, watching the computer screen as the clerk begins typing Daniel Mbai's details into the system. Daniel remains seated in the holding chair, wrists still restrained, but his posture hasn't changed once. Calm. Too calm for someone who should be pleading his case. Just run it, Biko says quietly again. Coffee scoffs. Run what? We already know. Just run it, the clerk interrupts. Sharper this time. A few seconds pass. The keyboard clicks feel louder than they should. Then it happens. The clerk stops typing, looks up, then back at the screen. That can't be right. Coffee steps forward immediately. What's not right? The clerk hesitates before turning the monitor slightly. We don't see the screen yet, but we see Coffee's face change first. Confusion, then irritation, then something closer to concern. Biko leans in. What is it? The clerk finally says it. There's a match, but not to a suspect file. A pause. Daniel slowly lifts his head just a little. Coffee forces a laugh. Then check again. The clerk shakes his head. I did! Silence drops hard. Biko's eyes flick toward Daniel again, this time differently. Then the clerk adds one more line, quieter than the rest. He's listed under protected personnel clearance. That word hangs in the air. Protected? Coffee doesn't respond immediately. And Daniel finally speaks again, voice steady but lower now. I told you, you should have checked first. Before anyone can react, the station doors suddenly open again behind them. A heavy presence enters the room without announcement. Every officer turns, even Coffee, and whoever just walked in doesn't look pleased. The entire station goes still as the new arrival steps inside. It's not loud. It doesn't need to be. The man in the doorway is the regional police commissioner.com face, controlled posture, but eyes already scanning the room like he's reading a situation that's gone wrong before anyone explains it. Officer Coffee straightens immediately, forcing confidence back into his voice. Sir, we've got a confirmed suspect in custody. Robbery case matching description procedures followed. But the commissioner doesn't answer him. He keeps walking, step by step, straight past desks, past officers who suddenly find something very interesting on their paperwork, until he stops. Right in front of Daniel Mbai. A long pause. The room feels tighter. Officer Biko looks between them, confusion turning into something heavier, realization starting to form but not fully there yet. Coffee notices the silence breaking around him. Sir, this is the man. We made the arrest downtown. Witnesses, enough. One word, calm, final. The commissioner doesn't look at Coffee when he says it. His eyes stay on Daniel. Daniel slowly stands from the holding chair, wrists still restrained, but he doesn't struggle. He just looks back at him. And for the first time, his composure shifts slightly, not fear, recognition. Coffee frowns. Do you know him, sir? The commissioner finally turns his head slightly. Not to Coffee, to Daniel. And then he speaks quiet enough that only the closest people hear it clearly. Why didn't you tell them who you were? The room freezes again. Biko's face drops. Coffee's confidence cracks for the first time. Daniel exhales slowly and answers in a way that changes everything. I wanted to see if it mattered. A beat of silence. Then Daniel adds, looking directly at the commissioner, "Dad." And in that single word, everything in the room breaks. The silence in the station doesn't last long. The commissioner doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. Daniel Mbaye is confirmed on the spot as his son, information that immediately shifts the entire meaning of what just happened inside the precinct in Yaoundé. What the officers believed was a routine arrest is now exposed as a complete procedural breakdown. Coffee and Biko didn't verify identity. They ignored repeated warnings. They escalated force based on assumption alone. And worse, they documented it like success instead of questioning it like professionals. The commissioner orders everything replayed, step by step. Every decision becomes evidence. Daniel finally sits back down, not because he is forced to, but because the weight of the moment catches up to him. Biko looks visibly shaken, stepping back from the desk like the floor has shifted under him. Coffee, still trying to defend himself, stops mid-sentence when he sees Daniel's expression, not anger, not triumph, just disappointment. The commissioner's voice softens slightly when he looks at his son. "You shouldn't have had to prove this point like that." Daniel doesn't respond immediately because the truth is heavier than the arrest. By the end of the day, both officers are suspended pending investigation. Internal Affairs is called immediately. The footage from downtown is reviewed, showing the public humiliation, the rough handling, and the refusal to verify identity. The incident spreads quickly through the department. Training protocols are ordered for review. Supervisors are questioned. The case becomes larger than just two officers. It becomes about system failure. Coffee is escorted out of the station in silence. Biko follows, head down, already cooperating with investigators. Outside, Daniel stands with his father for a moment before leaving. No celebration, no victory speech, just a quiet walk away from the station that nearly defined him by mistake. And as he steps into the street, he says one final line. "I wasn't the suspect, but someone else would have been." And this time, everyone hears it differently.